Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Uninterrupted, the cybersecurity and IT business services podcast from Forbes. So today we got a little bit different for you today. We got Laura Schmitz here from Hub International. She's a insurance and cyber insurance expert that's local to the Cincinnati area. And go ahead and say hi.
Hey, guys.
All right. So as always, we're going to jump right in. And we got some really good questions here. And she's going to help you be a little bit more informed about the cyber insurance side of things, versus the cybersecurity that we do, right? So I guess the first question, and this is what I hear all the time, is, what do business owners misunderstand or not really know about cyber insurance, and kind of how is that different from regular insurance?
So business
100%.
owners typically think that they won't get hacked because they're a small business, when in fact, they're the low-hanging fruit for hackers, right? So hackers know that they don't have any cybersecurity controls in place. And for that reason, they are very vulnerable and very easy target. One thing to understand about hackers is that they typically work for a very sophisticated organization whose business is solely to hack companies, get money off of them, and move to the next target. So with that understanding, it makes sense that they're after the easy targets, the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. If you've watched us for any amount of time or read our blogs or anything like that, you'll understand that that's exactly what we say. People are too small to get hacked. They're not too small to get hacked. They're too small to make the news. But they think they are. They think that they're not a target, and really they're a prime target because the hackers moved from the large enterprises who started to protect themselves, and when they came down to the small, medium business, they're effectively not doing anything, and they're a bank to these large hacking organizations, right? They just say, hey, I need a withdrawal. I'm going to hack this small organization and steal a bunch of money from them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we see there's a lot of times that we'll have people that'll talk to us and they'll say, hey, is cyber insurance the enemy for you guys? And no, it's not. And what's been beautiful about it is what you're saying is the exact same things that we're saying all the time. And this has been our experience with dealing with cyber insurance is we have a lot of people that are like, oh, you're just trying to sell a security theater. You're trying to do all these sorts of things. Well, I have organizations now that financially they're tired of paying out the claims, right? So they want to have the cyber insurance in order to, they want to have the cybersecurity so that the cyber insurance providers don't have to pay out those claims. And it's the same, it's two sides of the same coin here is cyber insurance versus cybersecurity. And so maybe talk about that for a little bit here of like say, hey, I have people ask me all the time, I have cybersecurity, why do I need cyber insurance? So what is it that you all do that's different than what we're going to do for aside from the practical security side?
So basically, cyber insurance is your last line of defense. So if all controls fail, you have cyber insurance. Essentially, there are four things that cyber insurance covers. So it covers your liability, so your responsibility to others when a cyber incident occurs. So think, your third-party lawsuits, your legal defense costs, your settlements, your fines and penalties. And then it also covers your business loss. So it covers the loss of income while the business is down and trying to recover from a cyber incident. Any extra expense that come with that as well. And then the third thing it covers is your breach response. So hiring, forensic lawyers to investigate how the cyber incident happened and how to protect it moving forward, hiring legal counsel, negotiating attorneys who are going to negotiate those ransoms for you. And then the fourth thing that it covers is cyber crime. So think, your social engineering, your funds transfer, your phishing attacks, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and cyber crime, guys, is huge. Like we've seen back in 2023, it was estimated to have been $18 million a minute was lost globally due to cybercrime. And so you want to have those coverages for it. So what you're saying is that you should have both cyber insurance and cybersecurity.
Exactly. Right? And especially because, if you don't have cybersecurity, if you don't have those controls, you're not going to be able to even purchase cyber insurance, right? So think about it this way. Imagine that you're an insurance carrier in the business of insuring primary homes. Do you want to insure a home that's falling apart? Or do you want to insure a home that's in good condition and well-maintained? So the same thing applies for cyber insurance, right? Cyber insurance carriers, they don't want to insure a business that's very vulnerable to having a cyber incident. they want to protect their financial interest after all.
Right.
So they're going to require that you have certain things, such as multi-factor authentication and backups and all the good stuff. That way, you're not such an easy target, and they can protect their financial interest that way.
Well, and we'll get into the stuff that they're asking about in
Yeah.
a second, but I like to think of the cyber insurance this way, is you have homeowners insurance, and they're going to make it so you're not destitute if there's something that happens to your house. When your house burns down, it's going to suck. Like, let's not get that wrong. You don't want to go through this scenario. You want to do everything possible to try to make it so that your house doesn't get destroyed, but if it does, your insurance is going to make it so that you have a place to live, and they're going to help you rebuild. But you're still probably going to lose some stuff. You're going to lose the memories that you have in that house. You're going to lose precious belongings and things like that. So you want to have both sides. And I like to think of it this way, is this homeowner's insurance is going to come through afterwards, and they're going to find out, are you doing something incredibly dangerous like leaving open containers of gasoline in your basement? And if you are, they're likely going to deny your claim because you were doing very risky, unusual behavior. Well, the same thing applies from the cybersecurity side, is that the cyber insurance is going to come through after, and they're going to investigate if you go through something, and they're going to find out, are you doing something incredibly dangerous that caused you to be liable for this incident to happen?
Or are you not being careful, right?
Right. And that's what we do when we work with the cybersecurity side, is we help you say, are you doing the equivalent of leaving open containers of gasoline in your business that would be very easy for an errant spark to light it and burn your business down, whereas it wouldn't cause you to be covered? So we're all on the same team here, looking for the same result here, and that result is, so how do I protect that organization that we're working with so that they don't go through something bad? But if they do go through the bad thing that we talk about, whether that's financial loss or a hacker stealing sensitive data or locking up the systems and encrypting them in your traditional ransomwares, that we're going to help them recover from a business production standard, but the cyber insurance is going to be there to make sure that the business is not doesn't die because of this. We both want the business to survive at the end of this.
Which is why we partner up so well,
Right.
helping companies stay protected.
Well, and it's the right thing to do at a human level, but I'll say it from the business perspective, is I don't want the companies that we work with to go out of business. The companies that go out of business, they can't continue to pay us money. And I don't think there's a problem to say that in the business world, that we're all in this to make money and make our lives better. And we collectively do that together. And so that's why these are kind of two sides of the same coin. We're talking about things getting hit in targets, and we're talking about places like that. What kind of industries are you seeing get hit the hardest right now?
I specialize in 3 industries primarily, so manufacturing, nonprofits, and real estate. I see manufacturing get hit the hardest, but nonprofits are not too far behind. And I think that there are certain points of vulnerability that are worth mentioning here. So manufacturing is a very invoice-heavy business. So invoice manipulation is a claim that we see often.
Oh, okay.
And so think about, the manufacturer sending invoice to their clients, and if the hacker is in their system, they can manipulate those invoices in the back end, behind the scenes, change the link to where the client is now paying the hacker, the bad actor, versus paying the manufacturer. And so the nuance about that type of loss is that sometimes that's not discovered right away, right? Because it's not like ransomware that you get to your business and your systems are locked up. Instead, things are manipulated behind the scenes.
Well, we saw an example of this where a company that we know of had what's called a doppelganger domain. So they knew what the invoice was going to be. There was some stolen email records that had told that an invoice was coming.
Right.
And somebody registered a doppelganger domain, and the organization paid that other company. They paid the hacking organization the invoice, and it was $50,000, $60,000, something like that. But it wasn't found for weeks. I think it was 2 months before it realized what had actually happened. And a doppelganger domain is they changed one letter of the domain name, registered a whole new domain. So like we'll use this example. I kind of use it all the time, but supply.com to supply.com. There's an extra S in there, and how easy is it to notice? That's kind of what happened in this scenario. And so they got stuck with that kind of attack. We call that the first of the bad things. So that's getting in the middle of a financial transaction. That's exactly what this is talking about. That's the fastest ROI for a hacker, the least amount of effort on their part, and the fastest way for them to get a payment with very little energy.
And that's what they want.
And that's what they want. It's all about money, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then moving to the next target.
Yeah, moving to the next target. We see manufacturers get hit too with if they can't get in the middle of those kinds of things, then we'll see them take down their operations with the traditional ransomware. And so they'll say, hey, if your operations don't run, then they can do that as well.
Yeah, ransomware is still, the number one type of hack, number one type of cyber incident that we see out there.
Right. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing, if they can't get the money directly with the fastest payday, then they look for what leverage can they use to make it so that you'll want to pay.
Exactly.
Right, and that's because it's about making money to them. And like you said, they're large organizations and things like that. You mentioned nonprofits. That's something that we service a lot of nonprofits here at Forbes. When I go and audit a lot of companies, nonprofits are, man, it's a massive, massive range from how secure they are to not. And most of them are, hey, my cousin does this, or some volunteer does it, and they're not really using cybersecurity professionals. What are you kind of seeing from the hacks that are happening in nonprofits, or the claims that you're seeing get filed from them that would maybe want them to consider having something else? Sure.
Yeah. So for nonprofits specifically, I think there are 2 points of vulnerability that are worth mentioning here. One of them is, per your point, a lot of times they have volunteers and part-time employees, and they don't get the same level of training, training how to identify phishing hacks as, the full-time employees do. And a lot of times it's just because of time constraints. They're just there for the summer or for the busy season. So the second point of vulnerability that we see with nonprofits is the fundraising platforms. So they all use fundraising platforms now, which is, it's wonderful that we can use that technology to support their mission. But then on the other hand, I feel like a lot of those nonprofits don't think about the security aspect of those platforms. And if those platforms get hacked, you're not only, losing that money that was given to you through fundraising, but you're also
putting that donor at risk.
Correct. Yeah. And then, the reputation damage, that donor or those people that typically support your organization now are going to think twice and maybe not donate the next time. So
yet again, it's fast access to the financials. Though it's directly the thing that we talk about all the time. Is this is where the business email compromise becomes so difficult now, because it's a way that they get into direct access to financials and steal it that way, or put themselves in the middle of some kind of financial transaction.
Sure.
There's a huge problem in our industry with these software providers. They say it's secure, which it likely is from their back end. But I think what people don't understand is that they have to protect the front end of these systems. They have to protect how they put in the data. They have to protect all those sides of it. And so if a hacker accesses your donation platform through your computer that you're supposed to be protecting, that donor software vendor is going to say that was your problem because you didn't protect your end of the bargain.
Correct.
And it is. I mean, I get why they say that, because they can't protect everything in the world. They're doing their piece to protect their back end from getting hacked that way, but you have to protect yours as well.
Sure. We see that with credit card companies too.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're saying, hey, the POS, not even POS vendor, but the actual person that has the terminal in front of them, hey, you have to protect your access to this terminal and make sure that what's getting put into it is secure, and you don't have an employee skimming credit card numbers and doing all those things.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Just some things to think about, guys. Like, there's a ton of this that goes on. You talked about some coverages and things like that. We're seeing more and more things get excluded from policies that I don't think the business owners understand. They're like, hey, I have cyber insurance and it covers everything. What are some interesting exclusions that maybe you're seeing people that see now that would be surprised about, right?
Yeah. So wrongful collections is a big one right now. So we're seeing a trend of third-party claims. So, the user will sue the company for collecting data and violating their privacy rights and using that data for other purposes. So is different from a cyber incident because it's not like the company was actually hacked. The company is being sued for how they are collecting the data and using that in the first place. So, I feel like cyber carriers weren't expecting that at first. So the language on the policy was a little bit vague. So for a while, there were no exclusions around it. And so carriers were paying for those claims. And now what we're seeing on our side is carriers will add exclusions for that, or they will have the company implement that little pop-up window that comes up when you open a website that has you agree to cookies, just to protect their end. So
yeah. So those pop-ups that have come, a lot of them came from the GDPR regulations that had to do with the European Union that happened half a decade or more ago at this point.
Okay.
But a lot of the businesses I talk to don't want to put those up because they don't do any business with people that are outside of the United States. And so this might be another reason for you to tell people exactly what the data you're going to collect and why. But also, we tell people, now we're starting to get into a realm of more and more that the data you collect, the data that you hold, more and more of the regulations are coming out that says that data has value and you have a due diligence to protect that data in a certain way. And we're seeing a lot of cyber, not policies from an insurance perspective, but actual policies and procedures that the companies follow internally themselves that have to do with regulations that say, if I don't need to collect this data, I'm not going to. And that's why, because they could be held liable for that later. And this is the insurance company saying now, yes, this data has risk, and you're assuming this risk for data you don't need, and you're not doing a proper information of that. So I can see why they're doing it. We've often seen a lot of things that where ransomware may or may not be covered at places. It depends on the situation. Are there specific circumstances that would say, hey, ransomware would be, you could make a payment for that, or how would that work if you were a company?
Yeah,
that
so
happened?
with ransomware, most standalone cyber policies cover at full policy limits. Where we see some restrictions on our cyber endorsements. So, a business owner will typically have their business owner's policy and then a cyber policy separately. But if they have just kind of an endorsement or an add-on, if you will, to their current business owner's policy, oftentimes that add-on, that endorsement, comes with very limited coverage. And the business owner, many times they have that false sense of security that they have cyber insurance, when in fact, what they have has so many restrictions that it's pointless to even buy it in the first place.
Right.
So it's our job to educate them. Another thing on ransomware that's good to keep in mind is that, keep in mind the pay on behalf language versus reimbursement language. So some policies that will pay for the ransom on your behalf, so you don't have to shell out, millions of dollars for that ransom. And obviously that impacts most businesses financially. And other policies will have you pay for that ransom upfront and then get reimbursement after the claim is done, which, in the midst of things and stress during a cyber incident, that can just be awful for a business to be going through that and have to.
Well, we've seen it happen. We've heard horror stories from our industry, and we'll say it this way from other people that we've talked to is, you're going through a cyber event, everything's down, everything's encrypted, you don't have access to anything, and now you have to come up with $500,000. And this isn't the cyber insurance paying out $500,000. They'll reimburse you for this, but you have to find $500,000.
Yes.
And you might not have access to your systems. And we've seen people have GoFundMe campaigns. We've seen people ask their businesses that they work with that have been in that thing. And so we've seen cases where people have to go out with their hands out to the community and say, this happened to me, and do that. And so that's another thing as well, is you want to look and say, what am I doing for protections to prevent this from happening in the first place?
Sure.
Obviously, that's what we want to do, but are you prepared for that event if it happens? Another thing that we see too is whenever the hackers will take over a organization, they will find a copy of what your cyber insurance is on your systems, and they will know exactly what to ask.
Wow.
because they look at your cyber insurance policy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so they'll look, and we have records of them looking at and saying, hey, there's $1 million coverage here, and they'll ask for $600,000. They don't want to ask the full amount because they know there's overhead that needs to happen or get negotiated down, but they'll ask for an amount that they do know will be able to be paid.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. So sometimes we'll tell people to get their cyber insurance policies out of their email. Right? So if they take over your email, then they don't know.
Or print it and leave it in a drawer and
right.
old-fashioned.
It's crazy, but it's like, how do you protect that data that way that could be used against you? And just thinking about it a little bit differently can really go a long way. You know, we've seen these cyber insurance questionnaires that we get. I'm sure every business leader in here has seen them, and they pass them on to their IT because we get them passed on to us all the time. These questionnaires keep getting longer. Back in the early days of these, they were a page long, and the joke was that if you had a pulse and you had a checkbook, then you can get an insurance policy. But we're seeing these questions jump up to 14, 15 plus pages now. Why? What are they looking for?
Yeah, I mean, cyber criminals are getting very sophisticated in the ways they infiltrate into your system. So cyber carriers know that, and they want to make sure that they're protecting their financial interests. So they are asking a lot more questions around what kind of cybersecurity controls do you have, just to make sure that they're not insuring a house that's falling apart.
Right. So they're looking back at this at the back end and saying, hey, the places that are filing a claim versus the ones that aren't are missing these things out of the questionnaires that they're asking. Kind of correct, right? So what they're looking for is to say, are places that they're not having an insurance claim get filed that are more secure, that we're providing cyber insurance for, and they're not having as bad of an issue. They're doing these things, and as they're saying, hey, we need to get more data to find out why these events are happening, and that's why these questionnaires are getting longer.
Sure, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They have all this years of information about how to do auto insurance and how to do business insurance and all these things from the data, and they're trying to get more data to find out how to do that.
And another thing to keep in mind as well is that if they don't have those cybersecurity controls in place, a lot of times they can't even get cyber insurance, right? So they fill out that questionnaire. Imagine that they answer a bunch of no's. I don't have multi-factor authentication. I don't have backups. I don't work with an MSP company.
Right.
Now, there are going to be less insurance carriers interested in taking on the risk. Less competition drives prices up. So then you have, you're stuck with a very expensive policy, sometimes a policy that has certain restrictions.
Right.
And so you're not putting your business in a good standing.
Right. So what are some mistakes that you see with people that are filling out those kind of things, or what are some pitfalls do people fall into when filling out those forms?
Sure. So I think it all comes down to the insurance agent's advice. So my advice is always to have the MSP company fill out the questionnaire because they know inside and out what kind of cybersecurity controls are in place. But the mistakes that we see are usually around the business owner or the CFO, somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of understanding of what those things are, either leaving things blank or kind of just making assumptions. And so they will hand that to the agent will hand that to the carrier, and it all seems fine until they have an incident, right? And now, the forensic attorneys, they investigate the claim and how it happened, and now they find out that they don't have multi-factor authentication. So now you're stuck in a situation where the insurance carrier has grounds to either deny the claim or reduce coverage. So, talk about, thinking that you are protected and you're good to go, and now having to deal with that business loss, with hiring attorneys on your own, with paying ransoms on your own, that type of stuff.
Be truthful, right? Even if the answer is no, say no. It is better for you to put no on those things and then come back and have the underwriter say, okay, well, we won't cover you unless you're doing these items, right? And that's better than saying you're doing them when you're not doing them and then potentially going through all the issue of you not getting a claim.
And, our job as insurance brokers is to provide advice around that.
Same. Right, yeah. Yeah, it's the exact same. And we see this huge thing. I've gotten clients before where I've gone and done an audit, and they've shown me their cyber insurance application, and they didn't know, and they thought that they were doing things that they weren't doing, and they checked yes to it. And
Wow.
I'm like, if you were to go through a claim right now, they would deny your claim. It's just, it's better to be honest. Like, first and foremost, it's better to be honest. Yeah, crazy that it goes on so much. Hey, what happens when a company files a cyber insurance claim? How does that work?
So if there's a cyber incident, the first thing that happens is typically they get to their office, they realize that their systems are completely locked down, they freak out, they call 4Biz or their insurance agent, and we file the claim for them. We help them walk them through that process. After the claim is filed, the panel counsel is engaged, so law firms who will provide immediate guidance on how to handle those things. And then the negotiations begin. So if there's a ransom in place, the attorneys really help you negotiate it down to something that's a little bit more reasonable. And then the claim gets settled and paid. But then after that, there's a whole new process, right? So forensic attorneys are going to investigate it, how it happened in the first place, and how we can prevent it from happening again. And we have to notify parties that were impacted by it.
Yeah. And your legal teams that help out with the people that are going through that, they also help them out with who to notify and things like that as well.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So it sounds like speed is the utmost importance here.
Exactly.
Like, so how fast should somebody reach out to their insurance provider when they do have the start of even a minor cyber event that they don't know if is going to turn anything or not?
Short answer is as soon as possible. But what happens is certain things don't get discovered right away, right?
Right.
So if there is a social engineering incident, and the employee receives an email, doesn't think twice, clicks on links, go about their day, and now 2 weeks later, they find out that, either money was transferred to the wrong place, to the bad actor. And so what we see is that if they discover and report it within 30 days, they typically have a better chance of getting their money back.
Okay.
If they wait after those 30 days, it's likely that money is already out of the country. And then, on those instances, you're dealing with foreign financial institutions, foreign government, and things get a little bit complicated, and the chances are basically zero that you get your money back.
Well, and we've seen near misses with our clients even that we deal with where the start of something happens, somebody clicked on a bad email, somebody did something like that could potentially start something, and we advise them to talk to their cyber insurance right away. And we're not seeing that result in higher premiums later or anything like that. Just getting them involved so that they know. Often what we see is better for us and better for our clients so that, hey, just let them know that if they do need to get involved, it's not a surprise to them, or they're not saying, hey, you've known about this for 2 months. Why didn't you tell us?
Exactly.
Get them involved early. They're going to run you through some guidelines to do as well. We've improved by some of those guidelines that they've sent over. Oftentimes, we are already doing the things that they're recommending, but sometimes they're not, and that's a good idea, and we implement into our process as well. So they'll provide you attorneys, they'll do all these sorts of things, they'll provide you with incident response. When they do that, how does that work? Are you kind of able to provide your own incident response team, or do you use the one that the insurance provides, or kind of how does that go?
Yeah, so the insurance carriers, they will highly encourage you to use theirs. In reality, if you want to use yours, you sometimes can. You have to get it approved by the insurance carrier.
Which can take longer.
So then claims, drag on, and it's a lot of times you don't get paid for that claim for a long time. So it's of your best interest to use what the insurance carrier recommends.
And every time that we've been involved with this, it's always been, knock on wood here, one of our clients hasn't gone through this process like this, but we've had 4 companies that have gone through ransomware over the last 2 years that called us after the bad thing had happened and they were going through this. And we've been able to help all of them out in conjunction with the incident response that their cyber insurance is going to give them, because there's a difference between what they're going to do forensically and what they're looking at versus sometimes these people just don't have the boots on the ground to be able to go through and do the necessary remediation steps to get their business up and running.
Sure.
And so we've helped with that the cyber insurance isn't going to do. They're not going to provide manpower on the ground to reform or to put in new hard drives and PCs to do those sorts of things. You need to provide that yourself, either with your internal IT or with help. And we oftentimes do that with these companies where, hey, we assist the cyber insurance, we help with the technical things that they're asking to be done, so we make sure they get done correctly when they go through an incident. But it still doesn't mean you can't use somebody even in conjunction with their incident response. But everybody needs to know what the expectations are and stay in their lanes.
Exactly.
Right? And not step on each other's toes, right? I see this constantly from people that they ask us to look at their cyber coverage, and we're not cyber insurance people. We don't do it. We're not lawyers.
Correct.
We're not cyber insurance people. So if you have questions about your cyber insurance and you're not getting those correct answers from your current insurance provider, what are some recommendations that you have for somebody to help you interpret these tea leaves?
Yeah, happy to help with that. You can reach out to me. But I work for Hub International. We have a team of cyber experts in our company who all they do is cyber all day long. So these guys they're seeing those claims play out. They're reading those insurance forms. So they're experts in that subject. So we, run it by them as well if there are any in-depth questions or any exclusions that we haven't seen. But we can kind of provide a breakdown of, this is where you're at, this is what you should have. We can also provide benchmark reports on like how much insurance should I purchase, right? Because this is an interesting topic.
They ask us that all the time, is what are the correct coverages? And I don't know, right?
Right.
It depends on your business, and
And
that's not
even
the side we're
limits.
experts in. Right, yeah.
And even limits, because like for your house, for example, for your homeowners policy, it's very easy to throw that on a replacement cost estimator and figure out how much money it would take to rebuild your house. But now for cyber insurance, you're talking about looking at similar size companies, what are the trends, what kind of incidents typically happen, how much those cost. So we can provide those reports that indicate, you should purchase between, $1 million and $4 million. Here's the range.
And this is based on the type of business your people do, and what your employee costs are, and what your downtime costs are, and all those different factors that goes into then say, this is why you should have these coverages.
Correct.
And what we're seeing with other businesses that are like yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. And that is something that we can't do. And we tell people all the time that we can't do that. And you need to work with an insurance provider that can actually interpret those tea leaves for you. Because you don't want to have it be at the 11th hour, right? And you're going through an incident and you're like, do I actually have the correct coverages? That's not the time to figure out if you have the correct coverages.
And especially, people don't think about how much money it actually takes to get your business back up and running after an incident. So you're talking about hiring lawyers to defend you in court for third-party liability suits. You're talking about, the business loss for your business being shut down for a few months. You're talking about, restoring your data and getting your systems back up and running. There are a lot of things that are involved with that process that people don't think about.
Well, and there's run-on costs too. So you're effectively, if you go through a ransomware event, you're pulling the emergency brake on your business, and everything is stopping right there. You're hitting that emergency stop button if you're a manufacturing line, and you know exactly what that is. Boom, you're done for a period of time.
And now you're out for a few months, and your clients who need things done, they're probably going to the competitor now, and there is some lost business there too.
The run-on cost that compound over later, and so sometimes the true costs of these events can't be calculated for a year or two out from them, and so that's where you want to make sure you have the right things that's in place for that. What have you kind of seen as somebody who has gone through an event? What have you seen kind of with when they go to do a renewal? Does the insurance premiums go up? What does it look like from that kind of aspect? Yeah,
so just like homeowners insurance, if you're filing a claim and you're costing the insurance carrier money, your premium is most likely going to go up. But I think
because
it's
you're
all
more
about,
risky to the insurer.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think it's all about crafting the narrative, right?
Correct.
So as insurance brokers, we help represent you in the marketplace. So we paint that picture of, hey, insurance carrier, prior to this event, this business didn't train their employees properly. They didn't have multi-factor authentication. They didn't have email security. And now with those things implemented after the incident, so we kind of craft the narrative of, this is what happened. They didn't have this.
Right.
Now they implemented it, and we can get more carriers interested that way.
Well, and from a cybersecurity side of things, we see a lot of repeat offenders because sometimes the company will, quite frankly, not get the expertise to come in. After they've gone through an event, they stick with the status quo, and the status quo didn't know how to protect them before, and they don't know how to protect them now. And so they become repeat to the hackers. And so when we say that you're not too small to get hacked, you're too small to make the news, there's another side of that coin is you're not directly on somebody's radar until you are. And as you've gone through an event, especially one that you've paid money from or any of those types of items, and the hackers know you're there, and they tell their buddies, and they say, hey, this person's been hacked, because unfortunately, across the industry, most people have not protected themselves after they've gone through a hack, and they end up getting hacked multiple times before they do that. And so that's one of the reasons why the cyber insurance providers are looking for that. And so we come in, when I go to a place that hasn't been hacked, they now get some pretty high-end security controls. I actually put in higher-end security there than I would had the company called me 2 months prior to their hack, because we're looking for different things because they're now more on the radar. We see firewall logs are higher. We see attacks on their Office 365 environments, more of them. We see more attacks coming at them because they're a known entity.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is hackers are in your systems for an average of 200 days before they strike you with a ransom. So during those 200 days, they're studying your behavior, and they're studying your cybersecurity controls, and they know everything you have. So per your point, you're an easy target after the incident as well, because they know so much.
Well, and the run-on effects of then getting in the middle of financial transactions, doppelganger domains, putting themselves in the middle of those things, that runs on as well, and we see that pretty big. Most of these incidents that we've dealt with ransomware, I would say that the organization that hacked them knew more about the way that their business operated with technology than the company did by the time they were done. Because they did the research, they did the due diligence. They're like, hey, because they want to know how to best get their money out of them, how to get their best ROI, right? We kind of talked about it a little bit, like how often should a business, when they have those questions, how often should they revisit their cyber insurance coverage and just say, hey, get a look at it? Is it yearly? Is it more than that?
So cyber policies are typically a 1-year term. So what we recommend is that they review it every year. Now, revisiting as far as going out to market, seeing what's out there, increasing limits, I think it really depends on, if the company has grown or implemented, opened a new location or something along those lines. But it also, it's always good to make sure that you're in good shape. And as a matter of fact, insurance carriers will ask you to complete a new questionnaire every year because they want to know that. They want to know what changed. So it's important to review it every year. Now, as far as increasing limits, it really just depends. But we can help clients with a benchmarking report to figure out how much insurance you should purchase.
Well, that's why you need to work with a good cyber or insurance provider in general that can go do those things for you as well,
Correct.
right? That's what if you have a good insurance agent, they're going to be guiding you through this process through a manner that makes sense.
Yeah, and insurance can be a very old-fashioned industry. You see a lot of insurance offices that have been around for a long time, and they do things in a very old-fashioned way, and a lot of times, they're not experts in cyber because it's not something that they've dealt with.
It's a line item for them, and a lot of times they don't fully understand it in the way that somebody who lives and breathes it does.
Exactly.
Yeah. What kind of trends do you see kind of shaping how the cyber insurance or general, maybe even how everything gets a little bit more interconnected going forward?
Yeah, so going forward, a big concern is AI, right? With AI now, you can manipulate somebody's voice. So now, we used to advise our clients, and still do, to every time they get a request to send money, we advise them to call the person who is requesting and confirm it. But now, with AI, you can manipulate the voice even. So now there's an increased concern with AI, and I think that's going to shape the cyber insurance space moving forward, because I can see cyber carriers being more concerned about that, premiums going up. So if you haven't bought cyber insurance, really this is the time to do it.
Yeah, and that's why we talk about, too, about making sure you're doing those verifications in a way that would be harder for the hacker to spoof, like in a known good communication method that would be more difficult. Sometimes I'll talk about this when I do my trainings, where it's if you pull out your credit card, they can't spoof the phone number that sits on the back of your credit card, right? So it's just different common sense ways of how do you verify through some third party, some known good method to say that you can do this. And it's unfortunate that we have to do that, but it's like the helpful ways that we help keep people safe.
Sure.
So you kind of touched on it, so it seems like you're expecting it to even get harder to obtain cyber insurance moving forward than it is right now.
Exactly. It's a soft market now, so rates have been stable.
Okay.
So even rates have gone down for companies who are taking cybersecurity seriously. So if you haven't purchased cyber insurance, you haven't looked at it in a while, or you think you have, don't know what you have, this is the time to revisit that, and this is the time to take it seriously. It's going to get a lot harder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are one of the things that businesses wait too long to do? Is it getting cyber insurance? Is just in general, they're like, hey, I'm going to keep rolling the dice here, or is it?
Yeah, a lot of businesses just have that false sense of security. Business owners, I mean, my mom's a business owner.
Right.
And so I know how it is. You're wearing many hats. It's a constant, managing employees is a constant, you're working constantly. So
Everything about it. Like, it's difficult to run a business. I can tell you that.
So the last thing in their mind is cyber insurance. So they have that false sense of security of, I think I saw that in my policy. I think I'm okay. When in reality, they either don't have anything, or what they have is very bare bones, to where it wouldn't cover a cyber incident, or it wouldn't respond properly.
Right. It's the same thing that we see. It's the exact same thing. It's out of sight, out of mind, until all of a sudden there's a massive spotlight on it. And what do you do then? If you haven't done any preparedness for it, your hands are handcuffed when you're dealing with one of these incidents, and you're down in it, and you really need to go through it first. So, if you're unsure about what you're covered, what are some of the best first steps that somebody can do?
Yeah, reach out to somebody from the Hub team. You can reach out to me, and we can review your policy. We can sit down with you. We can provide a breakdown, benchmark reports, help you understand, dumb it down for you. I know, insurance, especially cyber insurance, can be a very foreign language to a lot of people. So we like to dumb it down and make sure that you understand what you're purchasing, understand what you have, so that way you can make wise decisions for your business.
Yeah, the terminology that's involved in cybersecurity, half of it was made by nerds, and the other half of it was made by marketing people that wanted to sell you something. And so it's very, very hard to cut through what any of this actually means. And it's the same deal with insurance, is talking about it with somebody who knows.
Exactly. There are a lot of acronyms. So our cyber proposals, we always put the definition to each line item so you can actually understand what's in there.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Laura, thank you so much for being with us today. If you have any questions about cybersecurity, if you have any questions about cyber insurance, reach out to Laura, reach out to us. If we can help you answer those questions, the more informed you are about all this, and we say this all the time, the more informed you are about all this, the best that you can manage risks for your organizations and make the correct decisions about what you need to do to protect yourself, to keep your business functioning as smoothly as it can. And I appreciate your time here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Uninterrupted, a podcast from Forbes Cybersecurity. We hope you walked away with practical insights to protect your business and stay ahead of the latest cyber threats. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your colleagues. For more tips, resources, and cybersecurity updates, visit Forbes.com, that's 4bis.com, and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay vigilant and stay uninterrupted.